Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all under this true formidable well. Peace, salutation to the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3, the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom. Come to you back with another lesson through the Spirit. And the title for this was going to be, these people are going to completely lose their minds. Because we're in the times where society as we know it is coming to an end. From going to work, working these 9 to 5s, going out, to the grocery stores, going out to the bars and clubs. Pretty much the Babylonian American routine that people are used to is coming to an end, because we see that this economy is collapsing. We see that the stock market is crashing, that all the stocks, they're in the red. And these are all signs that this economy and this society is going to collapse sooner than later. And what that's leading to is people completely bugging out, not knowing what the future holds. But us that are in this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we have the foresight of what's going to be the end of this place and how it's going to play out, because the prophecies have to play out, from the societal collapse to Jacob's trouble to the mass implementation of the MOTB, and then eventually to that World War III. Because the Third World War isn't going to begin until the MOTB gets made mandatory. So that has to be made mandatory first, and then that Third World War is going to commence. Where the United States is going to have to jump in there. Go to war against Iran, Russia, China. These are all the prophecies that are left in the scriptures to play out. And then the final prophecy is America being destroyed by the way of the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the elect getting delivered out of that last plague and be beamed up into what people ignorantly call UFOs, which are the chariots of salvation. That's the way that the elect will be delivered out of America, Babylon the Great, because this place is going to get utterly wasted. But first, all these different prophecies have to play out. It's not going to happen in just in one day. All the prophecies just play out in one day, but they have to play out over a period of time. Like it says in Habakkuk, though it tarry, wait for it. But we're seeing that these last prophecies are playing out. We see that the economy is collapsing, it's tanking. These people are bugging out, and they're bugging out right now, while they're still able to go to these grocery stores, go to work, still get a paycheck. How much more when all hell breaks loose? The bank accounts of these people get wiped out. They don't have any more work for them. Their jobs fire them. Then they're gonna completely bug out all the way and lose it. Because they're already bugging out right now. They're waxing worse and worse, and it's only going to get more dire. It's going to get more serious as the time progresses, because 2025 has been nothing but judgment going out, from people getting ran over in New Orleans to these planes falling out the sky, earthquakes hitting in diverse places. And now you got Trump imposing these tariffs on these different countries that are leading the beast to hate the horde. Eventually America is not really gonna have any allies left, and the whole world is gonna come against the US as a whole. And they're gonna burn the horde, like it says in Revelation chapter 17. They're gonna burn the horde because it is pushed out its wine, its philosophy throughout the earth, and has made the nations mad. So the only solution is going to be the destruction of America. But first, all these different prophecies have to play out, and we're seeing them play out in real time. The words are jumping out of the book, out of the scriptures. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And we're seeing iniquity abound. We're seeing it increase daily, because the nation of Israel, that comprises of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they're progressively getting worse. They're not getting any better. So as time goes on, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel and the rest of the heathens, they're only going to wax worse. And we're seeing that. We're seeing them that they're losing their minds. We're seeing that Esau, Edom, is showing his horns, openly saying that they hate the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Because Esau, Edom, they've been keeping in their true hatred for the nation of Israel. Because in these past administrations, from George Bush to Barack Obama, they've pushed out that equality bullshit. But now that you got Trump back in office, he's rousing up these Edomites to show their true colors, to show who they really are, which is the Edomites, Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, which will have a perpetual hatred against the nation of Israel that comprises of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's where that so-called racism goes back to, is the perpetual hatred that Esau, Edom has against Jacob, because he sold his birthright. He got supplanted by Jacob, which his name was later changed to Israel. And then pretty much got supplanted and sold his birthright for a pot of I think it was stew, right? Which pretty much just sold his birthright for nothing. So these Edomites are mad. They're losing their mind. They're seeing that their kingdom is falling. So, they're going to take it out on the nation of Israel. But only the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, which are prophesied to be left here in America and be destroyed by the way of the intercontinental ballistic missiles, they're gonna be taken by Esau, Edom, because they're not gonna have any covering to be protected when all hell breaks loose and the mass implementation of the MOTB gets presented. A lot of our people are gonna go down to Egypt and trust in this devil, because ultimately they don't have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They don't have the stability to know not to take it, to not trust in their enemy. Because a lot of our people don't even know that Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is really their enemy. That he really isn't for them, and he never was. And they're gonna have to find out the hard way when Esau, Edom comes down with that great wrath, like it says in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12, because he knows that he has a short time. These Edomites, these self-proclaimed white people, they see that their kingdom is fallen. So who are they going to blame? They're going to blame the nation of Israel. They're going to take it out on them. That those true colors, their horns are going to show completely. They're going to blame Jake. Go down to the hoods where Jake resides and wherever Jake lives, and just put him to death, delete him. Because that's the mindset that these Edomites, the self-proclaimed white people, that's the mindset they're in right now, is taking out Jacob, blaming them for everything that's going on the earth, but not looking to who is really the true perpetrator, which is the elites. This is Luke chapter 23 and verse 21 or verse 31. For if they do these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry? So if these people are bugging out, 2/3 of the nation of Israel and these heathens, but really it's these heathens that are bugging out right now, especially the Edomites, the so-proclaimed white people, because this is their kingdom. They see that it's collapsing. That's why you constantly see them go to these social media sites, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and post these videos about about them ranting about how America's pretty much done, how it's, the economy's tanking, the morals on these people are waxing worse. They have no morals. You see that all these different countries are starting to hate America because it doesn't provide anything positive. All that America has done in its whole existence is go to war with all these different countries, take their resources. So now every country's starting to wake up to the fact that America isn't shit, and that's going to lead to these people completely losing their minds, because they're already losing their minds right now. They're already bugging out, because the stock market's crashing, the food prices are increasing, inflation. So how much more when the hyperinflation kicks in, when people lose their jobs, when people aren't able to go to work, when the bread and circus gets taken away, they're gonna completely bug out and lose it. And a lot of people, they're just gonna off themselves, because they're not gonna have any answers. But all us that are in this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Kakwadash, we know that these prophecies have to play out. We know that this economy has to collapse for us to be able to be delivered out of America, Babylon the Great. But these people don't know that. These people want America to be healed, especially the 2/3 of the nation of Israel and these Edomites. They want America to be revived, but it's not going to be revived. It's only going to keep collapsing more and more until it completely gets obliterated by the ICBMs, by the thermonuclear fire. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And right now, these groceries, these food prices, even though they're rising in prices, you got dozen eggs for $10. People are still able to afford them. Yeah, they got to cut back, but it's going to get to the point where it's going to be that hyperinflation. And right now, people think that they're in a good case, but when that hyperinflation kicks in, and then these stores get looted, and the famine starts, then they're going to completely bug out. Then there's going to be that famine, and then that sword, because people aren't going to have anything to eat. So they're going to go from house to house during Jacob's trouble, take their neighbors out, put them to death because of the lack of bread. And everybody's going to be confused, because they're not going to know what's going on and why it's happening. But us, during this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we know that it's judgment from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. We know that it's judgment for all the wickedness that is being done upon the planet Earth. But these 2/3 of the nation of Israel and these Edomites, these heathens, they're going to be confused with no answers. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And when Jacob's trouble commences, when it starts, we're not going to have to ask. We're going to know when we see all hell breaking loose, when the power grid gets shut off, when the stock market completely crashes, when martial law gets declared and the Constitution is done away with. We're going to know these things. But the ones who are going to be stable and be delivered from all the troubles, all the plagues, all the pestilences, all the famine, the sword that is about to come upon the planet Earth are going to be the elect. The rest of our people, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, this is who Jacob's trouble is for, because ultimately they're in wickedness right now. They're serving these other gods, worshiping these idols, and ultimately they're going down to Esau, Edom, going down to Egypt for help, because they don't have any faith, they don't have any fear in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and that's why it's going to be a snare and trap. And when all hell breaks loose, they're not going to have any covering. They're going to be out here naked, with their ass out, no protection whatsoever. And a lot of Jake thinks that because they're stocking up on guns, these ammo, building bunkers, that's not going to be able to deliver them. It's only going to get them maybe get away with it a couple of days, and then eventually it's going to run out. What are you going to lean on after your cans of food run out? When your ammo runs out, they're not going to have anything left. Us, there in this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we know that we got to lean and trust and have faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Have faith in those names. Have faith that those are the names that are going to be able to deliver us when all hell it breaks loose. You know, when you got the UN troops busting at your door, because a lot of brothers are going to get, you know, caught up in these detention camps, ultimately to have their faith tested, and some brothers might even have to lose their life and be a martyr and a testimony for the testimony of Yahweh Shai. But that's just part of the walk. This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in a book. And who are the ones who are going to be kept from all the trouble, all the death, all the destruction, are going to be the elect, starting with the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3, the large multitude. These are the ones who are going to be kept in the time of Jacob's trouble and eventually be delivered out of the lake of fire, the intercontinental ballistic missiles hitting America. But the rest of the nation of Israel, here in the souls of America, they're not going to be delivered. They're not going to be kept from Jacob's trouble. And ultimately, they're going to have to suffer that second death in the lake of fire, which is going to be here in America, Babylon the Great, when those missiles hit America and utterly wasted. You know, these are the ones who are not going to be delivered, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, for all the wickedness that they've been doing, all the iniquity, because when they had time to repent, instead they chose to scoff and mock, to slap the Lord's hand and turn the other way, walk by the camp and laugh, call the prophets bums. They're going to have their reward according to their works. And 2/3 of the nation of Israel, their works are wicked. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to reward them accordingly. He's going to reward them with death. But the only ones who are going to be delivered out of this calamity that's about to come upon the planet Earth are going to be the elect. The rest of the nation of Israel that wasn't given the stability, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the fear of the Lord, the faith, they're going to be taken by all the plagues that are going to get sent upon the planet Earth. Because a lot of our people, they rather lean on their own understanding, thinking that they don't need Yahweh Shem Yahushai, leaning on carnality to deliver them, to save them, either by stocking up on guns or stocking up on food and water, building bunkers. And ultimately, a lot of our people, they're gonna go down to Egypt and take that charagma, that MOTB, as a means to so-called live a normal life again. But even a lot of our people who take that MOTB, that charagma, they're still not gonna eat. They're still gonna have their ribs touching their stomach, ultimately for being disobedient to Yahweh Shem Yahushai and not trusting the true power. Instead, they chose to trust in the self-proclaimed white man, Esau Edom, the devil, which a lot of our people are gonna get deceived for going down to Egypt and trusting in the devil, the self-proclaimed white man, Esau Edom. This is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me, and they cover with a covering, but not of my spirit. and that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, that walk to go down to Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And that's what a lot of our people, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, comprised of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they're going to go down to Egypt. They're going to go down to these sea hipping stations, ultimately because they don't have any faith, they don't have any stability, they don't have any fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They have a fear, but a fear of man. They have a fear of Esau, Edom. They have a fear of what this devil can do to them. You know, because the majority of our people, they don't fear Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's why they'd rather go down to Esau, Edom for help, just like they did 5 years ago, and took that jump shot without any hesitation. It's going to be the same thing. That was a precursor to what's about to come upon the planet Earth. That was all a test run. And majority of the nation of Israel, they failed at because they had their jobs threatened. You know, they had their families being divided. That, you know, if you didn't take it, then you can't come around my family anymore. A lot of our people folded. So if they folded back then, you know, when you could have just walked away from your job, got another job, you know, walked away from your family. A lot of our people are going to fold when all hell breaks loose, and the only solution is taking that Karagwa. They're going to trust in Egypt, and that's going to be their stumbling block. That's going to be a snare and trap. This is verse 3. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So 2/3 of the nation of Israel to go down to Egypt, to go down to Esau, Edom, to go down to Pharaoh, the modern day Pharaoh. They're gonna be confused. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is gonna put them in that confused state, because then they're gonna know that what the prophets have been speaking about was true. That the MOTB was really a micro C-hip. That Jacob's trouble was gonna commence. That World War III was gonna go nuclear, but it's gonna be too late for them. They're gonna be confused, perplexed, not knowing what to do. But the elect, us of the hopeful elect, they're in the know. They have been given this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We know that we can't trust in this devil. That we're gonna have to be stable by trusting in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is what's gonna keep us stable in these times that we're coming into. Not trusting in man. This is Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 10. The name of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So the elect, the hopeful elect, us there of the hopeful elect, we're gonna trust in the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which is the true names of the Heavenly Father, who everybody ignorant calls God, which means He exists, and Yahushai, which is the true name of the only begotten Son, who everybody ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which means He delivers. These are the names that we're going to trust upon, that we're going to have faith upon, that we're going to call upon when we're caught up in these different calamities during Jacob's trouble, during martial law. But 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they're not going to be calling upon the names. They're not going to run to those names for safety. They're going to trust in Esau, Edom, and that's why they're going to be completely bugged out. They're not going to be stable. This is Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is His treasure. So this is the true treasure. This is the true stability. Is trusting in the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, having this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, knowing what to do during these times that we're about to come into, knowing not to take the Quran with, knowing not to trust in Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Instead, trusting in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, having that fear of the Lord, moving with wisdom. That's what we're going to trust in. But that's pretty much the point. I pray that this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from the well. Peace, citation to the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3. the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom.